Hello, everyone. I'm Kyle, owner of Great Lakes Drone Service here in the Great Lakes state of Michigan. I hope you find this video to be informative and helpful towards your journey of becoming a licensed drone pilot. I recently was fortunate enough to pass my FAA Part 107 exam with a 90%, which I was really surprised because I had no prior aviation knowledge or anything like that when I got into this uh, drone business. But I only studied for probably a month, intermittent studying. So I just wanted to share my experience with others who may be having reservations about taking the Part 107 exam. It wasn't too bad. First off, let me say that historically, I'm not a good test taker. Not sure why. Most likely it was probably the methods in which I was studying were probably flawed. However, the older I got, I realized that my learning style tends to be uh, one that can grasp things much better if I see them visually, some type of visual representation like a video. Thank God for YouTube. Um, when someone walks me through something, how it functions or operates, you don't have to show me one time and I can take it from there. So that's kind of the way I learn. So that's kind of how I studied for the Part 107 exam, and it didn't work for me. So I just wanted to pass it along. Um, I studied for about 3 to 4 nights a week for about a month at intervals of 1 to 2 hours, using the following resources. I found the Prepware Remote Pilot app in the App Store on my iPhone. It was a great resource. I think I paid $2.99, $3.99 for that. Well worth the money. It was mobile. You could study in the car, wherever. Great questions on there. That was great. One of the biggest things I used was Tony Northrup puts out a YouTube, is a huge YouTube presence and a channel, puts out YouTube videos. One that in particular was the Part 107 study guide. It's an hour and 45 minutes long. However, well worth it. I think I watched it twice before I took the exam, about 2 weeks apart. Probably a week before the exam and 2 weeks prior to that. He also has a downloadable study guide, which was really easy to understand. Great. And he has links to this all on his YouTube channel. So find Tony Northrup and download his information there. It's great. I also purchased the Drone Boss 125-page study guide. Found it on, it's on Amazon, but I found it on a social media advertisement popped up. And it was at a discounted price, so I bought that. It's very easy to read. You can read the entire thing in one day. I read that book front to back twice before I took the exam, once the night before, and that was very helpful as well. The last thing too I used was something. If you go to King Aviation School's website, their link will be below. All the stuff will be linked below. You can take free FAA Part 107 practice exams as many times as you want, and they give you a fresh set of questions every time you take it. I think I took it like 10 or 11 times, and then I printed off each one that was graded. After you're done, they grade it for you, and then I print them off and saved them as study guides, and I carried around my little 3-ring binder with me around the house, and every time I found myself sitting around or whatever, I would leaf through that 3-ring binder and study those things. So those were a great help as well. There's only one paid. I think I only paid for the Drone Boss study guide and then the app. So I wasn't into this very much as far as study guides and that kind of thing. So you don't have to pay big money to prepare for this exam. I think there's a lot of places out there that are selling that product, and I don't think it's necessary. The exam itself was a computer-based exam of 60 questions. It was at a small local airport in my area. I was the only person taking the exam that day, and I was provided a pencil, a piece of paper, and I was given a copy of the FAA Airman Knowledge Testing Supplemental Guide, pilot's handbook, I guess it is. You have to refer to that several times during the exam. That has all the sectional charts, the legend, and everything that you need to know before you take that exam. So I would stress that you devote extra study time to knowing the sectional aeronautical charts and the legend, which lists all the symbols and that kind of thing. That's huge, especially if you had no knowledge prior. You have to study those charts and know how to navigate around those things. Know the different levels of airspace, the different classes of airspace, and how to find the floor and ceiling altitudes on those charts. There's a lot of questions referring to that. Also know how to determine and find the elevations for towers and mountains and other obstructions on a sectional chart. Those will be listed in AGL, above ground level, or MSL, mean sea level. Know the difference in those terms. And then know how to plot latitude and longitude coordinates on a chart. They're going to ask you to find certain landmarks on these charts during the exam, and you have to be able to do that. Study weather. The weather section is a lot. You need to know about how to read the METAR and the TAF reports. Really know the difference of unstable air versus stable air, the characteristics. You have to know that. And Tony Northrup lays this out really good in his video, so refer to that. But know your weather, know all the weather characteristics. I went through all 60 questions on the exam. I marked about 6 or 7 that I felt were questionable. I went back through and looked at all 60 a second time, corrected the 6 or 7 questionable ones that I thought that needed to be readdressed. And the entire exam took approximately 50 to 60 minutes. They give you 2 hours. It took me about an hour, and you know, it wasn't too bad. The exam was graded right on site. I was provided immediately with what they call an FAA Airman Knowledge Test Report, AKTR. Once you get that document, you have to go home, get online, create what they call an Integrated Airman Certification and Rating Application, an IACRA account. Once you submit your application there and your test results there, they give you an ID number for your exam. You have to enter that and a bunch of other information. Once you submit that, it goes to TSA, who does a background check on you. Once that's completed and you pass, they will generate a temporary Part 107 remote pilot certificate that they'll upload to your IACRA account. Your permanent certificate and card will be mailed to you at a later date. So in a nutshell, that's really all there is to it. Don't be intimidated by taking this federal FAA exam. It's not that bad. Go for it. You know, I think I had to pay $160 to take the exam. Some places are less. I think it was $90 at another test site, but their dates weren't as flexible. So I paid the $160 and got the date that I wanted. So I just put it out about a month. I gave myself about a month to study for it. So all I ask for you today is, if you could, we're just starting out, you know, on YouTube, and if you could give this video a rating. If it helped you, that's great. If it didn't, I apologize. But if you could, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to click the bell to make sure you get all of our latest YouTube notifications. Also, if you could, help our social media platforms grow by liking us on Facebook at Great Lakes Drone Service. Follow us on Twitter at GL Drone Service. Follow us on Instagram at Great Lakes Drone Service, and on TikTok at Great Lakes Drone Service. We can also be contacted via email at greatlakesdroneservice@gmail.com. Take care, everyone. Fly safe and fly often.